Yes, I did.
Do I need to wait for other people to join?
No, I think you can just start. If anything, you just send them the video.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Good morning. My name is Manali. I come from Hong Kong. I was actually born in Hong Kong and raised in Macau. And I'm one of the newsroom partners now with the Global Vision team in Hong Kong. So today is the first session that online for sharing like our experiences on helping young children build up their immune system and to prevent cross-infection. So we all know that we want to stay healthy, but what does it take to be healthy? It all has to do with our immunity. And so what is immunity? By definition, immunity is our ability to remove foreign invaders such as germs and viruses and to eliminate abnormal cells in the body. But does it mean that we have to have high immunity all the time? No, actually it doesn't. We need to have a balance. We cannot have too high of an immunity and we cannot have too low of an immunity. Does it make sense? It is not possible to have, it's not good to have immunity in a very strong state all the time. But if the immune system is low, we'll be vulnerable to external attacks by viruses and bacteria and germs. But if the immunity is too strong, our body will start attacking ourselves, and we'll end up with allergies like asthma, allergic rhinitis. I'm not very familiar with these terms, but I'm trying to tell them as layman term. We all know about Alzheimer's disease. It's also part of a disease when our immune system get too strong, and Parkinson's disease and autoimmune disease and other things that are actually quite common as we grow older, like the lupus erythematosus, right, 红斑狼疮, or rheumatoid arthritis. These are all diseases that will happen if our immune system gets wrong. Actually, my husband, he had rheumatoid arthritis when he was very young, and it took him a long time to get it cured. So it does not, it's actually not good to have too high of an immunity. And what we're trying to do is to have a balance between good, low, and high. So this is what we're going to talk about today. And our immune system has to be developed over time. And all of our parents want kids to have healthy body as we grow old, and to win anything in life, like to have to be good in anything or to be productive in anything, first of all, we have to be healthy. And that's why we have this topic and one of the series of topics that we're having once every week. And many parents found that even if they have been very careful with their children, they still end up sick or what we call not in shape. And but what happened? What have we done, or what we've done wrong, or what have we done too much to these kids to get them in this state? So let's move on to this one. Yes, immune system for dummies. The immune system helps us protect against diseases like tiny invaders, like what we call viruses and parasites. So there are quite a few misconceptions for when we grow our children. One of the first misconceptions that we have is that we keep feeding them until that they get full, and we believed that actually even when I was a first-time mom, I would tend to get them to eat more, because as the older generation tell us, the more you eat, the stronger you get. But that's not entirely true. Actually, we firmly believe that as moms, we believe that it's more important to eat right than to eat too much, a lot. And we should pay attention to three top rules. Like for breakfast, we have this saying in Chinese that we eat like a king during breakfast. And in breakfast time, we focus on nutrition. But you know, as kids raised in cities, we're all rushing out for work, for school, and for anything we're doing. And we tend to just have like cereal or a little bit of something for breakfast, and then we get full and then we get out. But that's not helping the kids to grow. Actually, for breakfast, it's the most important meal of the day. Because as you know, the kids, they go to school to learn, and they really need a very balanced diet. Like if I raise them, I give them fruits in the morning. I give them some kind of protein, which could be eggs, and then I give them fruits like fresh cut fruits, and sometimes yogurt as well. So we really need to go for nutrition in the morning, and it's better to have a very well balanced and full breakfast before they go out to school, so that they have a whole day of nutrition in their body to keep them going for the day. And for lunch, we go for quality. And dinner, we don't want them to be too full before they go to bed. So that's the rule of thumb. So for dinner, we tend to give them like 70% full, keep them 70% full. So they won't have a full tummy going to bed. And then actually that's putting too much of a load to the digestive system. And so this is the first misconception that we need to get rid of, because actually in Chinese families, we do enjoy family dinners at night, and we all hugging ourselves around and staying cozy at home during dinner. So we tend to eat a lot during dinner. So this is a habit that we need to change, and try to put more of the nutrition in the morning and the lunchtime, so the kids have the whole day to digest. And actually moving back a little bit, the immune system starts to develop. We have 7 stages of growth in our kids. The first stage actually begins when we're pregnant as a mother. They get the nutrition out of our body, and they build up their own the babies, what do you call, the fetus. Actually, they get the nutrition from the mother when we're pregnant. So when we're pregnant, we have to be extra careful with our diet, with our mood, with our balance, well-being. So during pregnancy, you better get our husbands to cheer you up. Yeah, we have to stay happy as a mother, so that during the pregnancy, the baby gets the best out of us. And when the baby is born, during the first 3 and 6 months, the babies don't get sick, because they still have the antibodies from our mother. And usually the babies start to fall sick only after the 6 month onwards. And if you notice, actually the worst time for me when my kids get sick is when they start to go to school. During like 1 year old to 4 years old, they get cross-infected, and they sometimes come home with a runny nose and stuff. So when it was the first time for me to be a mother, I was also very, very nervous, and I tend to give them medicine like right away. But this is what I learned the hard way. So I'm glad I have two children. So my second child, I was more equipped to give them better health when I grew them up. So for this misconception, we do have an extra sharing session on the 22nd of October, Hong Kong time, and 21st US time on diet. So you can also invite your friends to join during that time, so we know what to give them for breakfast and for lunch, to give them a more well-balanced childhood. Yeah? Okay, let's move on to the next misconception, is that especially the Chinese community, we tend to give them a lot of nutrition. 补品. We give them like nutritious food like ginseng and bird's nest and even cordyceps. We will not hold back on giving them nutritious foods. But It doesn't mean that more nutrition gives them a better childhood. Actually, it might overload their immune system because they're actually still in the growing stage. They are themselves growing up, so we do not need to be overly generous in terms of giving them these ginseng and cordyceps. In fact, if we give them too much of these good stuff, it might lead to obesity and precocious puberty. What does it mean by precocious puberty? For girls, if they get periods before 9 years old, it's precocious. And it's too early for them at that stage in their childhood to be getting pregnant. The menses. So it's normal to have developed in the age of 12 and onwards. And after 14 is also not normal. So the best time for them to be having this puberty growth development is around the age of 11, 12, and 13. So we do have to be cautious with giving them a well-balanced nutrition diet. So better hold back on this extra nutrition. Does it make sense? Okay. And moving on, the third misconception is that we might tend to disinfect everything. We as parents get nervous that the babies will get germs and bacteria, and we tend to disinfect their toys, their towels, and their beds, and every day, even they carry these disinfectants everywhere they go with the baby. This is actually not helping with the child's ability to grow in terms of the immune system, because the child does need to grow with good bacteria inside them. So if we if we disinfect everything, this will actually lower their immune system, because they need the time and they need the opportunity to acquire good bacteria. So we do not recommend heavy use of home disinfectants. In fact, if we want to go for disinfection, we can try more natural and normal ways. You can find these ways online as well. And in Hong Kong, we have these disinfectants that is called Ecosphere series from Nu Skin, which actually is a more gentle way of cleansing things, but will not leave them with these chemicals with the babies. We do not recommend using too much of a dry clean and cloth softeners, because these are actually chemicals, and these will affect the child's immune system as well. So Gemina also shared her experience when she was back in kindergarten days. They cleanse the toys like every 3 days, because they do not want that. They want the environment for the child to be able to acquire good bacteria. So this is a kind of a reference that we can draw to. Yeah. Okay. Moving on to the fourth misconception is that yes, this happens all the time. We are so afraid the child gets cold and during change of seasons, especially when the weather is getting so much more extreme now. It sometimes gets very cold and very hot in the winter and summer seasons. We tend to overdress them, and if we feel cold, we put them. If we parents get cold, we tend to dress up the children as well. In fact, they don't need to wear so many clothes, and if they're so much heavily wrapped with clothing, their sweat will get trapped as well. So these children will actually tend to get cold instead, and it's not them, and the sweat cannot dissipate. So the rule of thumb for us to check whether they have enough clothing is to check the back of their necks and feel their hands if they're warm enough. So especially in the States, because you usually have very high heat indoors. So the kids will get too much clothing and too warm. So It happened to me when I was in Canada studying. So it's better to have different layers for the child than to have too much clothes all at the same time. Yep. And one rule of thumb is that if the skin of the child turns blue, or actually when white spots appear, especially during winter months, they want to play outdoors with snow and stuff, wash out and pull them back indoors, just in case they get cold. So actually children, they really don't need so much clothing as we adults do. Moving on to the fifth misconception is that we, as parents, we are very anxious about kids getting fevers and stuff. So we tend to use medicine once symptoms appear. But this will not help them with building up antibodies. Babies, they still have the antibodies from the parents. And if we want that period to extend, we would really recommend breastfeeding into the age of 9 months or 1 year. So the children will get extra antibodies from us parents during breastfeeding. And these antibodies will help them guard against bacteria and viruses. So we really don't need to get too nervous about children getting sick. They will always get sick because getting sick is part of their path of acquiring antibodies. And this helps them build up their own system of antibodies. And however protection we give them, they will still get sick. And this is actually good in a way, so that they can build up their own immune system. And do not ever give them overdose of medication. For slight fevers and flus, babies, they recover by themselves. So I have a mom-in-law. My mother-in-law is actually a Chinese doctor, and she gives Chinese medicine to our children, and sometimes the Western medicine to the fever medicine to the children. Because I used to have to work, and when I was at work, and when my daughter gets fever, she will feed my daughter with medicine right away, Panadol and stuff. So compared to my younger son and my older daughter, because I had more time for my younger son, because I have already been full-time mom since my younger son got to school. My younger son did have better immune system compared to my daughter, because my daughter we really have like bottles of Panadol and fever medicine in the fridge earlier. But then we try to cut down on that medicine, and I do see their immune system building up. So for slight fevers and flus, maybe you can watch a little more and see if they can build up their own system. But of course, if the symptoms develop further, you have to bring them to the doctor. So for us, flu medicine only come back the symptoms, and fever and coughing is part of a body's self-defense mechanism. For coughing, we should treat the phlegm and not the inflammation, because inflammation is also part of our child's system to get rid of the germs. So if we can avoid medicine, try to avoid it, and try to make them rest more. And if they're still playing around, then you don't have to worry. If they're feeling very tired, then maybe you have to wash out more and make them drink more water and give them proper nutrition and supplements. And I'll share later with what kind of supplementation we use, which are more natural than compared to medicine. And for the sixth misconception is that it's important, really important, to get a good night's sleep. And a happy sleep for a baby is a happy mother. And sleep is very important for them to do the detox, and babies, they grow during sleep. And if they do not have enough sleep, their immunity will not be able to grow as well, to stay strong as well. And even for parents, we have to have detox and sleep to give ourselves a healthy immune system. So it's best to help the kids go to bed earlier, before 9 p.m. I think it's easier for the States and for overseas countries. in Hong Kong, this is a very, very bad habit for us because we tend to sleep late and stay up late, and we have so much to do during night. And as parents, we sometimes come back home late, and we want to spend more time with children. But actually, that's jeopardizing. That's sacrificing the sleep for the children. So as parents, we really want to have them go to bed before 9 p.m. And growth hormones, the reason behind is that the growth hormones are most active during 10 p.m. to 1 a.m. My daughter is now almost as tall as I am, and she is like 13 years old, and that's the most important age of her life. I try to put her to sleep because she does have a lot of homework, and she also tends to drag on to work late at night. And but I can really see that during the age of 12, 10, 11, 12, she has grown like inches tall, and that's the most critical time during a teenager, before she hits teenage, that she has enough sleep. And sometimes when parents, we also notice that kids, they grow taller during summer holidays. The reason behind is that because they have more sleep. So I think that's a food for thought for us parents. That we really should drive our children to sleep, and they grow better. Yep. And coming to the last misconception is on secondhand smoking. Many parents smoke, and some smoke in front of the children, and some, we call them passive smokers. The children have become our passive smokers, and this is one of the key contributors to poor immunity. And even if the parents, they don't smoke at home, actually, I've noticed that these chemicals from the smoke, they are still detained on the clothing, and they bring back these secondhand smoke from work and from outside home. And the kids, they still inhale these harmful particles from smoking, and they become the second or third hand smoker. So as parents, we really should avoid smoking environment, and if possible, ask your husband or your colleagues to quit smoking. And passive smoking is one of the highest like contributor to respiratory illnesses like asthma and bronchitis and pneumonia. So that's something that we really should remind our better half, and for the sake of the whole family and for the children, for themselves, smoke outside, or better yet, quit smoking. And another chemical that is not really, we also have electronic smoking, and now the electronic cigarettes. There's also something that we really should avoid because it still brings back a lot of chemicals into the house. So electronic smoking is something I want to remind. And also dry cleaning is also bringing back a lot of chemicals as well. So we try to dry our clothes under the sun, and other non-harmful chemicals like for the clothes washers. I mean, for washing machines. So just try to avoid as much chemicals as possible. In the long run, you will thank yourself, and in the long run, you'll thank yourself for doing that for the family. Yep. So so what do we have in our treasure box for the kids? We have as we grow, these are all the products that I have used for my children. On the lower right hand corner, I'll see if I can do this. Let me see. Let me try to use the pointer. Yes, I've tried to. I have. This is the two new major foundation for the building blocks to supplementation is the this Jungle on the left hand corner. It's the multivitamin that gives them extra supplementation. With children, we really cannot get enough nutrition from the food we eat nowadays because of the method that we grow plants and we raise the poultry. So from the food we eat, we cannot get enough supplementation. So extra nutritional supplementation is really helpful for them to build up their immunity. So I would really highly recommend the jungle moles and the omega-3 marine omega that will help them give them build their cells and their immune system. So these are some of the five products that I have used regularly. The marine omega gives them very good EPA and DHA, which is essential for their brain development. And for the jungle moles, it gives them extra calcium and vitamins and we call it phytonutrients for them to develop their immune system. And I do see a difference between the kids. If they have taken these supplementation, the risk of falling sick grows smaller. And even if during the outbreaks in Hong Kong for hand-mouth disease and for flus, my kids don't get sick actually very often. My children have never ever got a hand-mouth disease, and I really have to thank you for these, the way that I have brought it up, and also for the supplementation I have given them. And if they suffer from slight fevers and stuff, I'll give them the G3 juice, which is also actually available in the States and in Australia. This actually gives them extra antioxidants, which will boost the immunity immediately. So these are some of the very, very highly recommended supplementation. My daughter is on the left-hand corner. I don't have the pointer. I wish I had to have a pointer. My daughter was raised with this supplementation, and I don't know how, but they would like to bite that marine omega so that they can squeeze the oil out. I cannot stand that taste. It's so fishy, and so the fishy taste, I cannot stand it. But children love it, and this is the marine omega that she takes. And she has grown up with this supplementation. She is now 13 years old, and all through the past 10 years of school, the maximum days off because of sickness is like maximum 2 days. She has never really fallen heavily sick, and I'm so blessed by what I have chosen in my career path. And my son, he is now 10 years old, and he is very strong and energetic. And every time they are falling sick, I will use the supplementation as well as the spa machine. I'll help them detox. This is one of the I'll detox by the spine. So this is one of the ways that we can share later. Easy ways for them to boost their immunity as well. And my daughter, she is very energetic, and she gets prizes for ballet, and she gets prizes for athletic team. She was always chosen as one of the participants for the sports day. And my son, he is not the sport type, and my son is the intelligent type. He's very smart. I think sometimes too smart. I think it's because of the extra DHA I gave him with the marine omega as he grows up, and he gets academic prizes. And again, I'm very, very blessed with what we have done. And my daughter now, in the middle, in her ballet shoes, she was in this picture. She was shopping for food by herself. Because when every time I go to the market, I will bring her along, and I will teach her what to choose and what not to choose and what to avoid. And she now she is proudly a very good chef with like a balanced diet. We call it the TR90 diet, and she knows what a balanced diet means, like having fruits and veggies and protein and carbohydrates. And this has to be built since they were kids. I have tried to give them a balanced diet. In Hong Kong, we have the luxury of having a maid, and I train the maid to have a balanced diet every meal. So and I also train my kids to do so likewise. So it's not just the parents thing; it's the whole family thing. So the first 5 years in their childhood life, if you build up the habit for them to have these in their mind, they will grow up healthy and strong, and they will now know how to get themselves back into shape. When they were a child, I give them supplementation, but now when they having a sore throat, they will run for the G3, they will run for the marine omega by themselves. So this is something that I think every parent can try out to minimize their headaches. So that's all I have to share. So I'll open up the session for questions. Is that okay, Polly?
Oh, no, it's okay.
Yeah. Next time, I think during the next session on the 22nd, I'll share more on this one. The 5 elements that we tend to forget during child growth. For example, calcium, vitamin E, fiber, potassium, and iron. And these are some of the things that can be supplemented via natural foods choices, and also be supplemented using the supplements that we use, like jungle moss and other stuff. So I think,
okay.
yeah, I hope I can
Thank
help.
you.
I enjoy sharing, so I think it's a very good start for more sessions that can help to come.
Thank you.
Yeah. I think you have to unmute Gemini.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can end the session. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.